Tonight at Welsh-Ryan Arena, the Northwestern Wildcats are back in action in front of their hometown crowd, ready to rock the Welsh. It's a new era for Northwestern basketball, led by gritty leaders, fresh faces, and some of the same veterans who can step up when it matters most. With just 11 games remaining this season, the time is now for this team to prove themselves, to make history and do something that no Northwestern team has ever done before. It'll take every player on this team to outwork, outlast, and outplay the competition and rise to the occasion to punch their ticket to March Madness for a third straight year. The journey to March continues tonight as Northwestern welcomes Rutgers to Evanston for a Big Ten showdown. We'll break down all the action on the SportsNight Pregame Show. It's the Wildcats versus the Scarlet Knights, coming right up.
We take a live look into Welsh-Ryan Arena as Northwestern basketball gets ready to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Two of the Big Ten's top scorers will be on that Rutgers sideline tonight, so we should have an exciting showdown here in Evanston. Tonight's game is set to tip off at 8 p.m. Central Time. We welcome you into our studio for the SportsNight Pregame Show. I'm Leo Tesler alongside Patrick Winograd, and we're so glad to have you join us.
Like Leo said, today is extra special. We've got an all-basketball show. We'll be talking Nick Martinelli, Ace Begley, and all the stars on the court tonight at Welsh-Ryan Arena.
Wow, Patrick, an all-basketball show? It sounds like it was tailor-made for your first time on desk. I mean, do you even follow other Northwestern sports?
Leo, I follow all Northwestern sports, but you're right. There's nothing I love more than college basketball. Except the Dodgers beating the Yankees in the World Series.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is a basketball show. Let's stick to basketball. It's Sports Night right now.
Let's begin the show by taking a look at tonight's projected starters for both teams. Rutgers comes into this game plagued by injuries. Emmanuel Ogbole is out for the season with a knee injury, sliding Lathan Somerville into the starting lineup at center. Dylan Harper is battling an injury and will be missing a game for only the second time this season. The rest of the starting lineup includes Dylan Grant, Tyson Acuff, Jeremiah Williams, and of course, Ace Begley, the projected top 3 pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, who also leads the Big Ten in scoring this year.
Moving to the Northwestern side of things, the Cats will be starting the first and second top minute getters in the conference in Nick Martinelli and Brooks Barnhizer, along with graduate guard Jalen Leach, who has dropped 15 or more points in each of his last 3 games. Rounding out the starting 5 will be big man Matt Nicholson, standing at 7 feet tall and ranking top 10 in the conference in offensive boards, as well as standout freshman Angelo Cherubino, the Chicago native. Before we get further into tonight's game, let's talk about the last 2 for Northwestern. In the past week, the Cats faced off against 2 Big Ten rivals, welcoming Indiana to the Welsh on Wednesday and traveling to Champaign to take on the Fighting Illini on Sunday. Northwestern men's basketball returned home last Wednesday night after a tough loss on the road to Michigan, hoping to pull out a win against the Hoosiers. Early in the first half here, Jalen Leach, driving to the basket, kicks it out to Martinelli, who drains the 3 for Northwestern's first points of the night. Look at that celebration after. Barnhizer with the mid-range jumper, and that's good. The Cats on a roll early on. Barnhizer now pulls up from 3, can't get it to go, but Fitzmaurice fights for the offensive board, which is then scooped up by Barnhizer, who passes it to Ty Berry for the 3, and that's good. Cats clicking on offense early. Wyndham with the rebound here, trying to find something for the Cats, and he sets up the hot hand of Ty Berry, who launches from 3 and sinks it in, putting the Cats up 10. Hoosiers going to go on a little run at the end of the first half. Trey Galloway drives into the paint and floats it up and in for a big bucket, putting the Hoosiers up by 6 at the break. After the half, Leach has it for the Cats, swings it to Barnhizer, who works his way in the paint, flips it up and in for 2. What a bucket there. Berry's going to have it now, passes back to Leach, who finds an open Berry from beyond the arc, and he knocks that one down. Ty Berry on a heater in this game. Matt Nicholson with the ball, passes it off to Martinelli, gives it back to Berry. Back to Nicholson, who finds the cutting Martinelli, who lays it up 4-2. Nifty move by the junior. Final seconds of the game now. Galloway with it for Indiana, down 7. He finds Mbako in the corner for 3, and that one is knocked down. Hoosiers down by 4. Hoosiers with the ball again. Crucial possession, but they lose it. Barnheiser with the steal, putting the final exclamation point on this one. Final possession in the game, and the Hoosiers can't get it to go. Martinelli secures the rebound, and the Cats are victorious once again.
Northwestern looking for the double against number 17 Illinois. A win would be a massive boost for the resume as the team aims for its 3rd consecutive tournament appearance. So we see action getting underway there in Champaign. Cats not on the board yet. Jalen Leach kicks it to Nick Martinelli. Number 2 works off the screen, pauses, and drains the 3 from the top of the key. But after that, it was all Illinois. Hummerkaus bringing up the rock, passes it to Boswell, back to Hummerkaus, who pulls up and drains the left wing 3, huge for number 3. And it's him again. Yakuchonis finds the forward in transition, who hits Ty Berry with a mean jab. Wide open 3, he knocks it down, making it a 15-0 Illinois run. First half was all Illini. The Cats run a set for Ty Berry, who shoots the 3 and he hits it, but Northwestern would be down by 22 at the break. Second half action, Leach's miss is grabbed by Boswell, who finds KJ on a deflected hit ahead. The Lithuanian collects and hits the easy tray. It's Boswell again, fakes the layup and throws a mean wraparound pass to Jake Davis, who hits his 3rd 3 of the game. The blue and orange can't be stopped. Illinois up 20 with just under 7 left. Yakuchonis splits right and finds a wide open finish for the freshman. He would end up with 11 points and 10 boards. Northwestern tried to mount a comeback, but it was too late despite this Keenan Fitzmaurice rack attack. The lefty slam would be the last Cat points of the game. Illinois defeats Northwestern 83-74, their 9th straight win against the Cats in Champaign. Tough one for NU, which is trying to claw some wins away on the road. Although that loss was Northwestern's 9th consecutive loss in Champaign, the Cats have split the last 6 games in the rivalry overall. The Wildcats now stand at 12-8 on the season with a 3-6 record in the conference. They have yet to win a game on the road.
But tonight, Northwestern returns home to Welsh-Ryan Arena, where they boast a dominant 10-1 record. Let's go live to our crew in the arena for some insight on what Northwestern needs to do to win this game. Michael Capobianco and Izzie Begley are on standby. Guys?
Thanks, Leo. Definitely an exciting matchup we have here at Welsh-Ryan Arena. Mikey, Northwestern coming off a tough loss at Illinois last week. What do the Wildcats need to improve on in order to pull out a win here today?
Yeah, for sure. It's an exciting night here at the Welsh. Hopefully a packed out student section. Big time Big Ten game. And yeah, for Northwestern, it's about getting off to a good start, especially at home. Last weekend against Illinois, they were outscored 43-21 in the first half. That's not how you set the tone in a Big Ten game. Northwestern needs to establish home court and get off to a good start early.
Yep, we've got 2 of the top Big Ten scorers here tonight in Nick Martinelli and Ace Bailey. It's going to be an exciting showdown between both of them. What does each guy need to do for their respective team in order to help their team get the win?
Yeah, well, we'll start with Ace Bailey, Rutgers superstar freshman, averaging about 20 points per game. Now, it's important, Dylan Harper not playing tonight, also averages 19 points per game. So it's really going to be the Ace Bailey show tonight. Northwestern really going to have to lock down defensively on Ace. I'm sure he'll be the focus for Rutgers, get the ball through him, but also through the other players. And then for Northwestern, Nick Martinelli averaging 20 points per game. Look for him to percolate today against Rutgers, as well as Brooks Barnheiser, who went 1 for 7 the other day against Illinois. Let's hope Brooks gets off to a better start today.
Thanks, Mikey. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Michael and Izzie. It's shaping up to be a pretty exciting matchup. We'll have more on Northwestern Rutgers as we get closer to the action.
Nick Martinelli has made a massive leap in his 3rd season with the Cats, ranking top 3 in the Big Ten in scoring. Martinelli has raised his scoring average by 11 points per game this season and has scored 17 points or more in each of his last 5 games. Our very own Taylor Hancock has more about his breakout season.
Averaging 20 points per game, Nick Martinelli leads the Big Ten in scoring and ranks 5th in the country in scoring by a forward. Although he played in every game last season, he only started in 11 and played an average of 26 minutes per game. Since the first game of this season, Martinelli hasn't played any less than 34 minutes, becoming a leader for the Wildcats. In his first season as a Wildcat, Martinelli appeared in 20 games, averaging just 2.6 points and 1.5 rebounds per game.
I thought that year Nick was a freshman. One of the reasons we got a lot better, that was our tournament team from 2 years ago, was Nick's emergence in the last 15 games of the season. He didn't play a lot the first half of the season, but he stuck with it.
2 weeks ago, Martinelli shot the game winner against Maryland in overtime, giving Northwestern the 76-74 win. That shot was the first time Northwestern won a game on a buzzer beater since 2017.
Nick's so good in those little mid-range. I mean, I don't know how many people could make a shot like that, kind of for a lefty.
This season, the junior forward has started every game, setting new career highs in points, rebounds, assists, and minutes.
What can you say about Nick and Brooks, man? Those guys they're just competitors. They're warriors. They just battle. It doesn't always look pretty with those two, but man, you want those guys on your team. They're just winning, tough dudes, and they were both awesome tonight.
Aside from his success on the court, Martinelli has become a role model on the team.
With Brooks being out in the summer and Ty and Matt, I kind of got an opportunity to increase my role as a leader and kind of be that. I'd never really gotten that opportunity other than my senior year in high school per se.
When he's not scoring, Martinelli's defense shines through. He is one of 7 high major players in the country this season, averaging over 19 points and 5 rebounds per game.
This year he's just been phenomenal, and just to watch his growth, his maturity. Nick's one of those guys, you got to kick him out of the gym. You got to tell him enough, get out of here. I even told him we got a few days off. I said, I got a camera. You're not allowed to go over to Glenbrook South and play pickup with your high school teammates. And
in the first 3 games of the season, Martinelli scored more than 25 points, the first time for any Wildcat in almost 15 years. His surge in performance has afforded him some newfound responsibilities.
I try to do my best to instill things that I wish people told me when I was going through it. Everyone has, especially Angelo and KJ.
With lots of Big Ten play left to go, Coach Collins and company is looking towards Martinelli to lead this team to some must-win games.
We want Nick or Brooks to be that guy, and we all kind of just said Nick, no rhyme.
For Sports Night, Taylor Hancock.
Thank you, Taylor. Martinelli's growth this year has been amazing to watch, and he has another year of eligibility to stay in Evanston next season as well.
Coming up next, we'll take a closer look into the bigger picture that is the Big Ten men's basketball season and discuss what this Rutgers team brings to the table tonight. Don't go anywhere.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Ready, set, go!
Fans are starting to file into Welsh-Ryan Arena as we stand just more than half an hour away from opening tip.
Welcome back into our Sports Night studio. Patrick, I'm hearing that Ty Berry is getting his very own bobblehead night tonight.
Yeah, Leo. Ty Berry has his very own Wild West-themed bobblehead that the first 500 fans at Welsh-Ryan Arena tonight will get.
Wow, I didn't know that Newton, Kansas produced Cowboys. I mean, maybe Ty Berry will show us that tonight when he wrangles some three-pointers.
Now, as January comes to an end, let's look at the Big Ten standings. At the top of the Big Ten, it's four of the conference's traditional powerhouses. Michigan State is the only undefeated team in conference play, but Michigan and Purdue aren't too far behind with 2 losses each.
Moving down the list, we've got 3-loss Wisconsin nipping at their heels, followed by a logjam towards the middle of the board, with Maryland, UCLA, and Illinois all knotted at 6-4.
Oregon is the only other team above 500 in conference play, sitting at 5-4. Indiana sits at 5-5 in the middle, rounding out the top half of the conference, with Ohio State and USC not too far behind at 4-5 each.
Then last, but certainly not, maybe not least, we've got the bottom feeders. Iowa leads this pack with 4 conference wins, with tonight's 2 teams right behind them at 3-6. Then, at risk of missing the Big Ten tournament, are Minnesota and Penn State tied for 14th place, and Nebraska and Washington slotting in behind them.
49 years ago, Rutgers won 2 of its last 6 games at Madison Square Garden to cap off a 26-0 regular season. The Scarlet Knights made the Final Four, which featured only current Big Ten teams, but this year's trip to MSG had a different tone, as Rutgers took on Michigan State, who came into the matchup undefeated in Big Ten play. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights took on number 8 ranked Michigan State at Madison Square Garden in New York. Rutgers was looking for a statement victory against a top 10 opponent. Game just underway. Ace Begley has it. Nothing but net on that shot. The Scarlet Knights take an early 5-point lead. You see the fans there reacting to that one. That lead, though, was short-lived. Michigan State right back at it. Jace Richardson from the corner. That puts the Spartans up by 6. A couple minutes left in the half. Jordan Durkak thinks about 3, drives it into the paint. Tough layup for Rutgers. His free throw would tie the game at 28 with only 2 minutes left. Final minute here. Jace Richardson on fire so far. He's banging in another 3 to cap off an impressive half. MSU would lead by 3 going into the half. The Spartans off to a hot start in the second half. Carson Cooper gets the ball over the heads of the defenders and into the basket to put Michigan State up by 8. Under 3 minutes to go, Michigan State dishing the ball around, and who else but Richardson drives into the paint, physical layup to put Michigan State ahead by 13. Rutgers not going down without a fight, however. Dylan Grant's going to get this one wide open from the wing to cut the lead to just 7 with just over a minute to play. But Rutgers could not complete the last-minute comeback attempt. Michigan State escapes MSG with a high-scoring 81-74 victory over the Scarlet Knights, continuing what has been quite the impressive season for Tom Izzo and his squad. The Scarlet Knights put up a valiant effort against a red-hot Spartans team, but the loss dropped Rutgers to 10-10 on the season and 3-6 in conference play.
Patrick, we've covered the past games for both teams now, and I think it's time to talk about tonight's matchup. How about we start here? We mentioned that these teams share a 3-6 record in the conference coming into tonight. So what do you think that this game means for their respective tournament chances?
Starting with Rutgers with a 10-10 overall record and 2 quad 3 losses in non-conference play, the Scarlet Knights just need to hope that they can make it into the Big Ten tournament and Ace Begley and Dylan Harper get hot, lead a Cinderella run, and give Rutgers the Big Ten auto bid to the NCAA tournament. For Northwestern, this is a true trap game. The Scarlet Knights are talented, but currently ranked 82nd in the net. That means the Cat wouldn't benefit much from a win, but a loss would go down as a quad 3 loss and would definitely put a massive blemish on Northwestern's resume.
Now, there's definitely outstanding things that could affect this matchup and these teams down the road. What can you say about Dylan Harper's injury? And on the Northwestern side, Ty Berry's demotion to the bench from the starting lineup, and how these factors could really play into what you said just moments ago.
An earlier injury caused Harper to miss a game at Indiana earlier in the season, but this recent injury is having a different effect. Harper has played 15 minutes or fewer in 2 of Rutgers' last 6 games, including last game against Michigan State. With him being out tonight, the Scarlet Knights as a team become a lot more reliant on Ace Begley, and the Cats can key in on that defensively. Speaking of the Cats, Ty Berry has been on fire since his move to the bench. He's only averaging 8.6 points per game this season, but Berry has logged 4 straight double-digit scoring outputs since moving to his role off the bench. He's also shooting 14 of 30 from three-point range in those games, after shooting 36% in his first 16 games of the season.
Right. Now, we'll get into score predictions and all of that good stuff a little bit later, but I've got one more thing I want to ask you, Patrick. Can you give me an X factor for tonight's game?
The X factor for tonight, it's got to be Jordan Durkak, the Jersey boy for the Scarlet Knights. The Merrimack transfer had been quiet with single-digit scoring outputs in 6 straight games, but then against Michigan State, Durkak erupted for 26 points, including 4 made threes, after making just 6 of them in his first 18 games of the season.
Well, we've certainly got a regular season game with some kind of irregular implications on our hands.
You said it. Not only is this game interesting in and of itself, it means a lot for the future of these team seasons.
Speaking of the future, following tonight's showdown, the Cats will have 10 games left in the regular season. SportsNight's Miguel Muñoz will break down the remainder of Northwestern's schedule, outlining which games they have to win if they want to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, thanks, Leo. For the 3rd year in a row now, Northwestern men's basketball finds itself looking for a way to sneak into the madness that is March. But currently sitting in the middle of the pack in a stacked Big Ten conference, what exactly do the Cats need to do to get themselves into that at-large bid conversation? By no means is the season over for Chris Collins and company. It really never is. As of this morning, the Wildcats are 13th in the Big Ten at 12-6 overall and 3-6 in conference play. As for the resume, NU sits at 49th in the nation. Where they struggled has been against top competition, with just a 3-8 record in quad 1 and 2 games. No worry, though, because after tonight, Patrick, you mentioned the Q3 game, every single game after tonight will be on Northwestern's schedule will be quad 1 or 2, giving them ample opportunity to prove themselves. Right now, NU is definitely on the outside looking in bracketology-wise, but just a few games can turn the tides. So, who do they need to beat? Well, their first test will be against number 17 Wisconsin, who is rolling right now, having won 8 of their last 9 games. That's in big part due to Missouri transfer John Tonji, who's made some serious noise, putting up 18 points per contest. So how does NU pull off another ranked win? Good defense is going to be big time. I know that might sound obvious, but specifically, the Cats cannot rely on fouls to prevent baskets. The Badgers shoot a conference best 85% from the charity stripe. Secondly, they're going to need to find a way to limit Wisconsin's more underrated weapon, John Blackwell, who's putting up 16 a night himself. Now, secondly, the Wildcats will need to leave Columbus with a W in a tough matchup against the Buckeyes. Ohio State finds themselves in a very similar position to NU, currently in the last 4 in per Joe Lunardi. Despite Northwestern's issues on the road, OSU hasn't been that much better at home, currently just 2-4 against Power 5 opponents. To stop a hungry Buckeye squad, Northwestern will need to focus on keeping a streaky Ohio State offense cold from 3 and control the pace of the game. Low turnovers and good looks will be key. Next is the ultimate revenge game for these Wildcats against an Iowa team who beat them on a buzzer beater earlier this year. Wildcats fans, sorry to bring that up again. But this Hawkeye roster is very complimentary, holding 4 double-digit scorers. Iowa is currently on a cold streak, though, with 4 L's in its last 5 games. Northwestern will need to keep that chip on its shoulder and play a full 40 minutes of basketball. Remember, it took NU until late in the first half to come alive last time in Iowa City. And for Senior Day, Northwestern welcomes in UCLA. The Bruins have been a fringe top 25 team all year long, in large thanks to their lockdown defense, currently best in the Big Ten. This is a streaky team, though. This month alone, they lost 4, then subsequently won 4. To beat them, the magic number has been 75. In all 6 of their losses, the Bruin offense was held to 75 or fewer points. This is also one of Mick Cronin's younger rosters. If Northwestern uses their more experienced team to their advantage to force turnovers and be level-headed toward the game's end, they'll come away with a huge dub. And finally, the Big Ten tournament. Now, Big Ten standings have never been more important because not every team makes the Big Ten tourney anymore. You must be in the top 15 of the conference. Assuming Northwestern's able to make it to Indianapolis, they'll have their work cut out for them. NU is going to need a couple wins to boost their resume just enough to sneak in. We've seen Collins work miracles before, and we can see it again. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Miguel. It'll be far from a cakewalk for Northwestern to punch its March Madness ticket for the third year in a row, but clearly it's not an impossible task.
When we come back, we'll check in with Northwestern four-star commit Jake West, and we also discuss Ty Berry's return to form.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
One, two, three, four.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
We're just 20 minutes away from tip-off at Welsh-Ryan Arena, and the students are continuing to fill the stands. We welcome you back into our Sports Night studio for some more men's basketball pregame coverage. Patrick, we've gone through how these teams got here. We've talked about the matchup itself. What's left to do?
We can talk about the future, Leo. Northwestern still has half of its Big Ten slate left over after all.
Oh, the future. I totally forgot that was a thing. I thought maybe we would just go home early tonight.
Leo, there's no going home early. It's only January. We sleep in May.
Chris Collins wasn't sleeping this past November, though. On the 14th of that month, Northwestern signed four-star recruit Jake West, among others, to join the program in the fall of 2025, compiling one of the country's top 25 recruiting classes. Sports Night's Griffin Senyek sat down with West to discuss his journey to this point.
Joining me now is four-star Northwestern men's basketball commit Jake West. Jake, thanks for taking the time.
Yep, thank you for having me, Griffin.
Well, first off, you're in the midst of your senior season at William Penn Charter. How's the season been going so far, and what currently are you working on in your game?
It's been going well. We're first in our league right now with a record of 6-0. So, we've been playing well, gelling right, have a lot of chemistry. I've been playing well myself. I think averaging like 20 points, 5 assists. So doing my thing and, just trying to get stronger, be more physical because, Big Ten and college game, it's a very physical conference. And, college is just a different level. So just trying to get more physical and stronger.
Yeah, and it's been just over 3 months since you committed to Northwestern. What stood out to you about the program and led you to your decision to make Evanston home?
Yeah, I think just right when I stepped foot on campus, it felt like a family. None of those other visits I really took kind of felt like that. It just felt special right when I got there. The players were very cool. Coaches, every single one of them I felt really connected to. So, yeah, just stepping foot there and then just something in my mind and my heart told me it was home.
Now, you're one of 5 commits in what is Northwestern's highest-rated recruiting class ever. What's your relationship currently with those guys, and what are you looking forward to about playing with them?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. Having five new guys in a class is not many schools do that nowadays. With the transfer portal, so it's definitely going to be special. I haven't developed too much relationship with the guys yet, but when I get there, it's definitely going to be special. like I said, 5 freshmen in one class. So I'm excited to build with them, and we'll definitely probably get closer the sooner we get to campus.
I can't talk to you without asking you about your social media stardom. Almost 250,000 followers on Instagram, 1.5 million on TikTok. How did all that start, and what's been your reaction to it?
Yeah, for sure. So most of my stuff kind of just came organically, just messing around with some of my friends, and a couple videos went viral, and it kind of just took from there. I didn't think it was going to end up like this, but that's just how God works. Crazy experiences, but yeah, just being myself, having fun, just doing stuff with my friends, and just keeping the main things.
All right, I've got a bit of a fun question for you. If you could make one TikTok with an NBA player, could be current, all-time, whatever you want, who would it be and why?
Probably Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was my favorite player, just because his mentality, just being just a mama mentality. I don't know if he would want to make it TikTok though. He's kind of a hard dude, but definitely him. He's my favorite player.
Now transitioning back to Northwestern, the Cats are in the middle of Big Ten play. I'm sure you've been paying attention. So what have you seen from this season's squad that has really impressed you?
I think Northwestern resonates a lot with me, just the way they play, very underdog, chip on their shoulder type of team, and they go into every game and they fight. That's what I like a lot about them. Just even if they're not rated to be rated to win the game, they go in there like they should win it, and they just put a chip on their shoulder, and they play very hard. None of those guys really give up on any plays, which I like to see a lot.
And last question, Northwestern faces off against Rutgers later tonight. What's your prediction for the game?
I got a friend on Rutgers. Shout out Dylan Harper. Hopefully he plays well, but hopefully the Cats get the dub. So hopefully Dylan plays well, but Northwestern comes out with the dub.
Love it. Jake, thanks for joining me. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Griffin. Can't wait to see what West and the other recruits have in store for us at the Welsh this fall.
Ty Berry has recently adapted to a new role for the Wildcats. After starting every Northwestern game for the past 2 seasons and the first 16 games of this season, Berry has spent the last 4 games making an impact as the first man off the bench. Charles White and Brendan Preisman discussed Berry's new role following Northwestern's most recent home game.
6 days ago, Ty Berry came off the bench for the first time since 2022. And yet, over the past 3 games, he has scored at least 12 points. He's looked phenomenal. Brendan, what would you say has been Ty Berry's impact scoring for Northwestern basketball?
Well, it's been absolutely massive because this is a team, Charles, that has desperately needed another scorer to step up. Brooks Barnheiser and Nick Martinelli obviously have been tremendous. They've averaged about 40 points a game combined for most of this season, but that's not enough to win you Big Ten games. And tonight, Berry went ballistic. Led the team in scoring with 23 points, 7 of 10 from 3 by himself. That's 7 made threes, a new career high. As you mentioned, Charles, 12 or more points in 3 straight games. The first time he's done that since February of 2022. Since February of last year, of 2024, when he was on his way to leading the Big Ten in 3-point percentage. If Northwestern has this Ty Berry back, then their March Madness hopes are still very much alive, and that was something that was certainly in question for a while. Chris Collins talked about it in his post-game presser. He basically said, look, when you're working back from a season-ending injury like Berry had, it's not only about the physical, it's about the mental, and Berry finally appears to have cleared the mental hurdle.
Yeah, and Coach Collins in the presser was talking about how if you believe that you can win, sometimes the shots just start to fall. Can you speak a little bit to just the energy and the confidence that Ty Berry brings to the court for the Cats?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he said it himself in the postgame as well. He basically said, when you start making a few, then the rim starts looking like the ocean.
Just a whole lot of green beans all around. Shots, as soon as you released them, they just felt good. You just knew they were going in. So that's contagious, though, for sure. Once you see one go in, then you just kind of the hoop turns into the ocean.
So really, I think what matters is that now not only does Northwestern have a guard who's got the history of making big-time shots in big-time games, but they've got a guard with the confidence that he can do so again as well as the history. Northwestern put up 54 points in the second half tonight. They've scored over 75 points in 3 consecutive games for just the second time this season. Admittedly, 2 of those did go into overtime, but still, the offense appears to have finally found its footing, which is something that both early in this season and in the recent doldrums of Big Ten play wasn't really happening. So if Ty Berry can consistently hit, 3-4 3-pointers a game for this team, then the ceiling raises exponentially, because Northwestern is going to play good defense, but the offense has been a question mark at various points this season. If Berry's on, it's not a question mark anymore.
Absolutely, Brendan, and the Cats are at that point in the season where they have to start racking up wins. They are towards the bottom of the Big Ten right now, and their vets, Ty Berry, first and foremost, along with Brooks Barnheiser and Nick Martinelli, are going to have to play their best ball.
But it's him. He's gotten in the gym, he's worked hard, and he deserves it because he's put the time in to get himself back.
Berry's contributions have been huge for Northwestern in the last few games and have led to a total momentum shift for the Wildcats.
As we sit around the halfway point of the Big Ten slate, we decided it would be a good time to review the top plays of the Northwestern basketball season so far. Take a look.
Coming in at number 5, Brooks Barnheiser bounces it to Ty Berry. He hits one of his career high 7 threes against Indiana. Boy, is he back to the Ty we know and love.
And at number 4, we're in overtime against Eastern Illinois. Leach receives the inbound pass from Martinelli, and he nails a step-back 3. Wait for it here, for the Cats to seal a 67-58 victory.
At number 3, it's Nick Martinelli on defense here. He's going to go to the ground and wrestle this ball away from the Lehigh player, causing the turnover. Passes it to Nicholson on the outlet pass, and he slams it home for the dunk for Northwestern's first points of the season.
And at number 2, Martinelli is going to force his man down the lane where Matt Nicholson comes up and gets that big block. The Wildcats upset Illinois 70-66 in overtime.
And at number 1, with the score tied at 74, Jalen Leach inbounds the ball to Nick Martinelli, who catches the pass from the short corner and hits the fadeaway bucket to seal the deal in overtime against Maryland.
Coming up next, 2 special guests join us on desk to make some predictions on how Northwestern will perform during the rest of the season and in tonight's game.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Welcome back to Sports Night. Miguel has joined us on desk along with Sports Night very own Matt Saperstein to make some predictions for the rest of Northwestern season and tonight's game.
All right, guys, we are less than 10 minutes from tip-off. It's time for some predictions here. Let's start with the year at large. Looking ahead, do you have a bold prediction for how the rest of Northwestern season will go?
I think Northwestern wins 8 of its final 11 games and ends up safely in the tournament. It's a lot to ask, but I think the Cats will get it done.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think the Cats finish in the Final Four out. I know that's not a bold prediction that Cats fans are going to want to hear, but I'm going to go with that. I think that's still a pretty solid season for a Northwestern team who currently is not even really on the radar in terms of bracketology, but I do think the Cats have what it takes to kind of get back into that conversation. I just think the Big Ten is far, far, far too competitive this year. Those 4 West Coast teams just make it a little bit too tough to get over that hump, but I think this is still a really solid season when we look back at it in March.
I'm going to have to side with Patrick on this one. First off, the Wildcats dominate at Welsh-Ryan with a 25-3 record at home since the start of 2023. With the ability to go toe-to-toe with ranked opponents at home, I think Northwestern will win out all of their remaining home games. And I'm looking for them to make a statement this Saturday when they upset number 17 Wisconsin at home. Beyond that, I think they'll win maybe 2 of their 5 road games remaining and punch their ticket to a 3rd straight March Madness.
Yeah, I am going to kind of agree with you there, Matt. I think they're definitely going to go on a run towards the end of this season and ultimately make this NCAA tournament. I mean, they're playing some of the bottom feeders in this conference. They're playing Minnesota. They're playing Nebraska. And, you know, they're playing some teams, again, that I think they have a good shot against. I mean, they lost on that buzzer beater to Iowa early in the season. They'll face them again. And they beat Maryland. They handled Maryland. So I think the schedule works out a little bit in the Cats' favor. Okay, now we have to get a score prediction in for tonight's game before this thing kicks off. Again, 2 pretty evenly matched teams. Now, how do we think this one will end up?
I think Northwestern wins this game 76-68. Good defense on both sides, and Rutgers just a little bit cold shooting, and Northwestern comes away with a victory.
I'm going to agree with you there, Patrick. I think Northwestern is going to win 81-66. Now, look, I think this is still a solid Rutgers team. They showed how they could handle themselves against Michigan State, but no Dylan Harper tonight. It's going to be tough for Rutgers to come away with a win. I think the Cats get it done.
Guys, I couldn't be more excited to watch future NBA star Ace Begley ball out on the court tonight. He's scored 17 points or more in his last 5 games. I think he'll do that again tonight and drop 28 on the Wildcats. But I still think the Wildcats will stick with the Scarlet Knights and continue their domination at home. Give me Northwestern 74-68.
So I'll complete the sweep here. I'm going to take Northwestern as well, but I'm going to take them by a score of 76-73. And I think the whole narrative behind this is when Northwestern shoots the ball well, they tend to win. They're always pretty much a sound defensive team. They'll have some help from the Rutgers side, considering that Dylan Harper is out. But I do think that it'll come down to the wire. They still have to shoot well to win. They've definitely struggled when they haven't done that. And again, even against an opponent like Rutgers, I think they'll come away with it.
That's all we have on this special pregame edition of Sports Night, but the basketball season is far from over. The Pioneer has a new frontier to discover, and this Cats crew won't sleep until May.
Well, if they want to make the NCAA tournament, I feel like they should probably get some sleep in before then.
No, Leo, that's not, never mind.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into our special edition of Sports Night. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at NNN Sports and on Twitter at NNN_sports for live updates during the game. We want to give a special thank you to Matt Schrock for helping to make all of this happen, and thank you to the rest of our Sports Night crew for helping to put together this one-of-a-kind show. Have a great night and enjoy the game.